Hey everybody, welcome back. It's the Razzball Fantasy Baseball Podcast. I am Beat On. That handsome gentleman across the way, if you're watching on YouTube, is Gray Albright, the fantasy master Lothario himself. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm good, man. Yeah, so for people who are just listening and not watching, you can go to youtube.com /Razzball Fantasy and watch us. Well, I guess watch and listen. You wouldn't just watch. It would be weird. It would be weird. It
Yeah.
would be weird to mute the sound and just watch our lips move. But yeah, you can do that though. That is an option on YouTube. If you'd like to just watch us, just watch us. That's it. Yeah, it's like it's our instead of bravos, watch what happens. It's just watch us. Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, with our voices, you might want to just watch
Yeah,
us.
it might work out better. It would also be very interesting to watch or see what it comes up with when we mispronounce names, just butcher them terribly.
Yeah.
That would be interesting to watch.
Is there subtitles on the YouTube?
I don't know if there's
On
on
the
ours. I know it's possible. I don't know if I turned them on. I think I can actually turn them on to where they'll try and pick up whatever we say.
Oh yeah, because I have because for people who don't know, I'm on Fridays. I'm on with Craig Mish. I'm on TV for. I do a segment with Craig Mish every Friday at 8 a.m. my time, which is awesome. 11 a.m. Eastern. Anyway, there are captions on there, and Coog sent it to me the other day, and I was like, it was, whatever I was saying, the captions were like, we have no idea. We don't know at all what he's saying. Honestly, this is like these captions are going to be no help.
You know
Yeah.
who could have used some captions, Gray, is Freddie Freeman and his agent. They could have used some captions because clearly some miscommunications. I mean, there was like if there's a baseball Cartman, he's just soaking up Freddie Freeman's tears all week during that series. I mean, what do you think about the whole Freeman thing, Gray?
Oh my God. Well, I mean, I got so many thoughts. Like, it's actually, I don't know, maybe because I live in Los Angeles, it's actually infuriating what is going on with Freddie Freeman. He said, I'm from Los Angeles area. Hey, I want to go home. I want to be close to my family. Where'd that go? Where'd that energy go? Now suddenly he's like, oh, he's sobbing at the press conference with the Braves. Like, what, dude? Also, like, who signed this contract? Was it forged? Because I'm pretty sure he looks at his contract and signs off on everything. Like, where did this come from? That like, oh yeah, it's my agent's fault for me signing a $400 million deal with the Dodgers. What? What? How is that possible that he's able to like convince himself that it's his agent's fault for getting him a huge deal with the Dodgers, his hometown team, the team he wanted to go to? Like, I honestly, as someone who has had a agent for many years, I never thought I would ever sympathize with an agent. It's like agents are terrible people. I hope my agent isn't listening. No, agents are not good people. They're really terrible. But I mean, honestly, how is this the agent's fault? Freeman signed the deal. If he wanted to go with the Braves, he could have went with the Braves. It would have been very easily. He could have been like, you know what? I don't even need my agent. I'm literally able to go and just phone up the owner and be like, hey, guy, what's going on? I'm Freddie Freeman. You might know me. I played first base for your World Series champion team. Okay, great. See, let's move on. Oh my God, man. I can't honestly, I only follow baseball. So I don't know about other sports, but I've never seen a situation where a guy has gone back. Like, you don't go back to your ex crying. Like, what are you doing, man? That's guy rule number one, okay? I never heard anything like this before, where he went back to his old team sobbing in a press conference. Like, we're already like months into the season. I mean, oh my God, man! Like, seriously, Freddie Freeman sucks. He sucks, bro. Anyway, what you have any thoughts on this nonsense?
No, I mean, I'm with you. I mean, he signed the deal. He could have easily called up anybody in the Braves front office. You know, he has everybody's contact information. He could have called up Alex, could have called up, like, he probably has, like, Liberty Media's, like, CEO on speed dial. Like, he could have called anybody. Like, he could have called literally anybody to talk about this. And yeah, so I'm with you. I think it's pretty much his fault. And now he's complaining. He's on a first place team. Like, I don't get it.
I know, man. Like, he's really like he's managed to ostracize himself from the Dodgers. Like, I mean, if I were like, I know Kershaw's already said like, it doesn't feel very good. Like, does he not want to be here? Like, if I were a Dodger, I'd be like, what's going on with Freddie Freeman? Like, is he having a mental break from reality? Like, he's on our team for the next 5 years. Like, he's not going anywhere, you know? Ah, man, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he's already signed up. He's there. I don't really know what, like, the only time I can think about it, you mentioned like it never happening. Like, if it happens, it's because they've been like a player will have literally played his whole career, and then like that last year where he still wants to play, and the team's like, no, we have to move on. That maybe in that 1 year, like, this isn't in baseball, but like when MJ came back and played for the Wizards, like every time he came to Chicago was a huge deal. But like we knew MJ wasn't MJ of before, and he was doing it to help the Wizards, you know, kind of establish themselves. So, yeah, he has 5 more years on the deal. He could be playing for a number of years still, like after the deal, even potentially. So I really just don't understand where this is coming from or how this helps anything.
Right. Yeah, no, it's just so weird. I don't know. Anyway, let's get into fantasy.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. Let's talk about a couple of call-ups here. Let's start with probably the most exciting one of the week, and I think one of the last, maybe there's a few more, but we're starting to run out of like top 15 type of call-ups. But Vinnie Pasquantino got the call-up with the Royals in AAA this year. He had 69 games, 18 home runs, 3 stolen bases. He had 280, 372, 576. It's just number 13 prospect on the most recent update. I mean, power, a little bit of speed, but I mean, we've been waiting for Vinny called up. This is actually the number 3 prospect in the Royal system because they've already called up the top 2, which is obviously Witt and Melendez. So Vinny is joining them. This is kind of the trio for their future. What do you think of Vinny here?
Yeah, if nothing else, they could have Vinny drive the bus with Edward Alvarez back to the minor leagues. Just keep going. He could be their designated bus driver. Yeah, no, I mean, hey, Vinny, what are you doing, huh? It's hard. It's hard for me to not do the Italian when I'm talking about Vinnie Pasquantino. Hey, Vinny, gabagool, what are you doing, huh? I just put in my bids. I mean, by the time people listen to this, I don't think people are going to be listening to this for my fab bids. But if they are, they've already been put in, and I've already either won or lost Vinnie Pasquantino. I put him. We're going to talk about also Darick Hall after Vinny. But I put in Vinny. He's my top fab bid. Probably. Unless someone drops someone, I would guess he's probably going to be the top prospect bid for the rest of the year. I mean, like you said, I don't really see that many more prospects coming up. Like at a certain point, we've just depleted the minor leagues for call-ups for this year. I mean, maybe some guys will come up in September, but those are like September call-ups, and they're not really going to factor in to this year's. The sooner you can get a guy, the more valuable he's going to be, obviously. So yeah, I mean, with Vinny, it's really kind of remarkable how good his contact is. Like he is really like I mean, he's got a 60 grade hit tool. And he's also like, his strikeout rate at AAA was 12.2%. Like that's really good. And his power is undeniable. I mean, he's got easy power. I saw his first homer of his career the other day. I was kind of surprised the ball got out, but I mean, it was a line shot. It was like, I don't know, 20 feet off the ground the whole way. Like it was a line drive home run. Like it was like, I don't even know if they counted that as a fly ball. Like I don't know if StatCast counted it as a fly ball. It was so low. I mean, I would say probably in every league, even the shallowest of leagues, like who doesn't need power, So I could see a possibility for maybe 15 to 17 homers the rest of the way with like a 270 average, which is, that's really good. That's basically, I would say that's above, I don't know, let's see, like Rhys Hoskins, maybe that's above him for average, probably him for power. I don't know if you're even going to get that from like Jose Abreu. So, I mean, those are really good projections if he can do that. Maybe that's a little bit optimistic, maybe 15 homers, 265, 260, but still in that range. I mean, that's solid numbers from a rookie, and there's upside from there. So, yeah, I would say in every league, definitely go out and grab him.
Yeah, and I mean, he's also sitting.
Do a grab a ghoul.
Yeah, and he's also sitting in the middle of the lineup. He's hitting 4, 5, 6 in the games he's played so far. So we're also talking about a bat on the wire that's inserting into the middle of a lineup, which is just hard to find in any lineup. So finding a cleanup hitter that's not owned, that's worth it alone, even if he wasn't.
I would say the one guy who I don't want to compare him to because he's really sucked the life out of me is Spencer Torkelson. But Spencer Torkelson's kind of like what I expect from Vinnie Pasquantino. What I expect from him is what I expected from Spencer Torkelson. So there is some downside here. I don't think it's not necessarily clear sailing, but I mean with Vinny, he does have great contact and a solid walk rate everywhere in the minors. So there's a good chance he doesn't bottom out like Torkelson did in his rookie year. Anyway, for what that's worth.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think there's a little bit less risk just because, like you said, he doesn't strike out. He takes walks. So just from a value standpoint, that means he's getting on base. He has the potential to score some runs. And then I think maybe the part that may not play up completely in this first year is the power, because I think he probably gets contact, but I don't know with improved MLB pitching and the stuff that he's facing, if he's able to put the same kind of power numbers up that we've seen him do in the minors, just in this initial kind of season that he has. That would be that's what I'm thinking would be kind of the downside, is just that it ends up being a little more. I don't want to say Alec Baum, because he's not that devoid of power. Alec Baum was always like, oh, maybe he'll grow into power eventually. Like Vinny, we've seen him hit for power. We know it's there. But if he's hitting line drives, it's going to be hard to clear over the wall in consistently.
That's a fair point, because his launch angle does seem a little flatter than most power bats. But yeah, I don't think he's gonna bomb. I don't think he's gonna bomb out. Pun intended and noted. But I mean, I guess that is possibilities there. Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about another prospect call up. Maybe not quite as heralded as Vinnie P here, but Darick Hall got called up by the Phillies this year in AAA. In 72 games, he's hitting 269, 346, 548, 20 home runs, 5 stolen bases. I mean, he's 26 years old, so he's a little bit older for AAA. 21% or 20% K rate and at AAA this year, 9.5% walk rate. So far, when he's been in the lineup, he is sitting in the middle of the lineup for the Phillies. He's hit fourth 3 times, and then he hit eighth 1 time, and one at bat as a pinch hitter. So I don't really even count that one as far as what we're talking about here. Are you also interested in Darick Hall again? Another potential middle order of the bat joining.
Yeah, no, I am. I think Darick Hall. So what I was going to say with my fab beds before, and then I stopped myself because we hadn't gotten to Darick Hall yet. But by the way, Darick Hall, is it just me, or do you want to start singing Yacht Rock every time you say his name? It might just be me. But is Darick Hall going to do a double play combination with John Oates or what? What's going on? Okay, so Darick Hall. What I was going to say with fab was like I have Pasquantino and Hall. I put them at the same dollar amount for my fab, but I put Pasquantino in front. So I wouldn't mind getting either of them. At this point, I kind of need power in the leagues where I'm bidding on them. So it's very specific for me. It's like maybe your team doesn't need, Darick Hall as much. This is also a deeper league. I'm talking about 15-team mixed leagues. So, it might be deeper for some people, or other people might have shallower leagues. Anyway, so Darick Hall, what I think with Darick Hall, I just don't know, because of the age thing. That really trips you up when you see like a guy come up for the first time at 26. You shouldn't. I don't know. I mean, it's like you don't want to be ageist. I mean, what is this, Hollywood, and we're trying to cast an actress? I don't know. I mean, maybe it doesn't matter, but how many guys come up at 26 and really are impact bats like for their career? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I have no idea, but it's rare. And like maybe because he's 26, he's able to come up and have like a solid 3 months in the league and then sort of like disappear a little bit. So that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping he'll come up, hit maybe 15 to 17 homers, have like maybe a 245 average, because he doesn't have quite the contact like Pasquantino. I think Hall is a little bit, he's riskier for a batting average. There's a chance he could bottom out, and maybe that's the reason why he's even benched or demoted. Like Darick Hall has issues. Like he's not without massive issues. Like he's older, he could hit 210. Like he only really has power. Like there's stuff there that isn't like necessarily great. But if he's older, it could also lead to him having like a solid month or 6 weeks in the majors, which might be all you really need. Like even in shallower leagues, like you go with a hot bat, you grab him, and then you move on to someone else potentially. So I don't mind the flyer on Darick Hall. I don't have as high hopes about him like long term at all. Like I think there could be a chance we could get to next week and be like, Darick Hall just went 0 for 25 and is no longer in the majors. Like that's a real possibility with him. But I do like him, and I love Yacht Rock, so let's go.
Yeah, I mean, like we said off the start, he's not the level of prospect Vinny is. I will say on the age side, I do think, especially this year, maybe next year, we need to, or at least I'm thinking there's probably, I'm giving prospects more of a pass on the age, because we had the COVID seasons where there weren't minor league seasons. So basically players couldn't get called up unless the team already knew them and like already, or they were a top prospect and the team needed kind of that boost. Like other prospects weren't getting called up. So like Vinny or Darick Hall's having a great season this year, but like if he wasn't playing, the Phillies would never call him up, just because he's not that level of prospect that they would typically make a difference without seeing it on the field first. But yeah, usually the people who make differences later in their career are like guys who make swing changes or change teams, and he really hasn't done any of that. So it is kind of, if it wasn't for the COVID thing, it would be weird though. I'm agreeing with that, but a little excuse.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. Moving on, Robbie Ray, since June 12th, so 4 starts, he's had 27 innings, 28 Ks, 2 earned run. He's added a 2-seamer to the mix, and the numbers have started to look better. He has a pitch that runs, counter to his slider. So his 4-seamer kind of runs with his slider. They both kind of have that same movement. Now the 2-seamer works away from it. Are we back in on Robbie Ray? Are we back in on the pants?
It's funny that like you Google Robbie Ray and the first suggestion is pants. Yeah, I think I don't know. I mean, I feel like Robbie Ray, the stuff is so it's so electric that it just was a matter of him figuring it out. But I mean, it didn't necessarily mean he was going to figure it out this year, because it did take him like 5 years until last year to figure it out. So there was a large chunk of time. It could have took him like a week to figure it out or years to figure it out. So, I mean, he definitely has, there was risk involved, but his stuff does, I mean, his stuff is so good. Like, if you see him pitch, like, you're like, okay, yeah, I mean, he should be striking out like 10 plus K per nine. It's really going to be the command. Like, it's going to come down to his commands. Just about like whenever if he's going sideways, it's like, wow, how does he move sideways? Because those pants are so tight. How is he moving sideways? No, if he goes sideways, it's going to probably be because of his command. And I think he's, like you mentioned, the 2-seamer, it's working for him. So he figured that out. Seattle is also such a great place for pitchers that it's like the narrative, it was there for him to be really good this year. And he hasn't been really good, obviously, no dur. But, I mean, I could see him having a good second half. Like, I could see that potential is there for him, because he's always able to throw for a lot of innings. So he's at like 97 2/3 as of the recording of this. He could throw another 100 innings. He's like one of the few guys, I think, in the league who could throw another 100 innings. You're talking about maybe a handful of guys, like the Gerrit Coles, the Sandy Alcantaras, the Robbie Rays. Like, there's not many guys who I would say, yeah, he'll get, like, Robbie Ray, barring something fluky, will get another 15 to 16 starts. He'll throw like another 100 innings. He could have a 2.75 ERA and a 10 plus K per nine for the second half of the year. Like, he has that potential. I don't know if he's necessarily going to get there, but yeah, I mean, he's one of the few guys who I could see doing that and having like a great run. Because really, like, Seattle, there's very few places you want a pitcher outside of Seattle. Like, it's a top 5 park. Like, I mean, you just look what it did to Jesse Winker. I mean, Jesse Winker went from a 300 hitter to like, now he's like a 220 hitter. So yeah, I mean, I think Robbie Ray could definitely have like a top 5 starter the second half. So yeah, I mean, I would grab him. I if you can, like in a trade. Obviously, he's not going to be available on waivers, but if you could grab him in a trade and you want to do that risk, you want to take that risk, I could see it. I mean, it makes sense to me. I don't necessarily, I don't know what you're trading for him. It depends. Like, I would say, like, if you could trade like a George Springer for him, because I don't really trust Springer to stay on the field, like that would work for me. I mean, it depends what you're trading, but yeah, I like him. I do like Robbie Ray still.
Okay. Let's let me throw a couple pitchers at you, and we'll see where we fit in the pitcher realm here. Would you rather have him or Kevin Gosselin?
I would go Robbie Ray.
All right. How about him or Darvish?
Robbie Ray.
And him or Kyle Wright?
Robbie Ray.
All right. Dylan Cease?
That's a tough one. I think I'm going Dylan Cease, but that's close. That's tough. Yeah, Cease, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, it sounds like he's probably
yeah.
top
I mean,
15, top 10.
like Cease. Well, what do you think, Cease or Ray?
I'm going with Cease.
Yeah.
I just think he
Did you
looks
agree with
dominant.
Did you agree with my other ones?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You can continue to be the podcast host then.
Okay. I appreciate that I've locked it in for another week. That's great to hear.
Another 20 minutes. We'll see.
All right. Let's talk about Bryan Reynolds a little bit here, Gray. He had a 3-homer game this week. That helps his season totals. That brings him up to 15 on the season. He's got 3 stolen bases, hitting 257 in June. He hit 333 with 8 home runs. Rest of season, like where are we fitting him in among the outfielders? I was always kind of down on Bryan Reynolds. I just didn't think the upside really was there. But with 15 home runs at this point, I mean that makes him on pace for high 20s, low 30s. I mean that's reasonable. And if he gets the average back up like he has been, I mean, was I wrong, or are you kind of maybe using this June to sell him and maybe pick up somebody with a little more upside?
I kind of like Bryan Reynolds more now than I did in the preseason. I didn't like him either, but I didn't like him because I thought he was just like he was sort of contingent on, runs and RBIs because of the Pirates suck. And then actually the Pirates are kind of hitting a lot of homers this year, but I thought they sucked. So this is preseason Gray talking and being wrong. Bryan Reynolds, I was concerned that he was like contingent on our counting stats and his average, which I thought was a little bit inflated last year. Actually, I wasn't totally wrong on that. It was a little bit inflated last year. I think his BABIP is probably more in line with where he is now, maybe a little bit higher. Like he's hitting 257 as of the recording of this. I think he's probably more like a 275 hitter. So he can come up from where he is on average. But last year he hit 302. That did feel a little bit high, even though he did have another season above 300. But I didn't really buy him as a 300 plus hitter. I mean, 280-ish, I think, on the high side, but yeah, not 300. Anyway, I think the power, I think he's grown into power and he's starting to, he's 27. It's kind of the time when power peaks a little bit for guys. And, he's not hitting a ton more fly balls, but for whatever reason, PNC, the ball's flying out. The Pirates hit more homers. I believe they hit more homers in June than at any other month in their I think outside of one other month. They hit more homers in June of this year than except for one other month in their entire history. That's a long time because the Pirates have been around forever. I think I like Bryan Reynolds now for like 25 to 27 homers, 270. He could steal maybe 5 to 7 bags. I mean, that's not bad. Honestly, I trust those, and I trust those numbers because he's always sort of stayed on the field. It's hard. It's, what a guy does with his health last year doesn't necessarily always translate to this year if there's a fluky injury, but he does more or less stay on the field. So I like Bryan Reynolds a little bit more than I did, to be honest. I don't love him, but 27, 7, 275 isn't bad. I mean, that's solid, and that's better than what I thought we were getting coming into the year.
Yeah, I mean he's currently on pace for a career high in home runs. That was last year at 24. So, if even if that pace falls off, we kind of take the 3 home run game for what it is, but he still is likely to break that career high at home runs. So yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I've come around on Bryan Reynolds a little bit. It just seems like the power he's tapped into a little bit more than I thought he would. I would still probably take the under on 20 home runs rest of season, but somewhere around 15 the rest of the way, like he has right now, close to the midpoint in the season, that feels about right.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. we talked about Darvish quickly in the Robbie Ray comparison, but let's talk about him a little bit more in depth here. It's kind of weird for him, a little bit at least, where he's pitching really well. The numbers all look great. He's got a 3.53 ERA. He's got a 1.1 WHIP, 94 innings, 85 Ks, but he's way down in his K rate, 22.4% K rate, 4.7% walk rate, which is great by Darvish standards. So he's getting it done, but it's not really the Darvish that we were building our teams with, thinking we were getting, our typical 30% K rate guy.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
This is like one of the more surprising sort of seasons that I've noticed the release. Like his velocity is up, his walks are way down. His walks are so far down, like you mentioned. I mean, his walk per nine, 1.7, and his K per nine is way down too. I mean, his K per nine is 8.1. That's crazy for you, Darvish. Like that is, I don't know, like it's just bizarre, and I don't know necessarily why exactly, but I mean, he's doing things that he's never done before, and not necessarily it's all good. Like it's not great. Like to be honest, like his fastball, like I mentioned, his velocity is way up. His O swing is up. His Z swing is down. So his O swing is pitches batter swings outside the strike zone. So batters are swinging more at balls outside the strike zone, and they're swinging less at balls inside the strike zone. So it's just like, and they're making more contact with balls inside the strike zone. So they're able to make contact on his pitches a lot easier, which isn't good, obviously. And they're not swinging at pitches, and they're not swinging like batters seem to be reading him better, and they're able to make good contact on him. But it's not necessarily, in his last game on Saturday, it did translate to runs. And that's why I was saying, like, in another video on our YouTube channel, you can see me say I'm a sell on you, Darvish, because I do think it's not great that his Ks are so far down, even though his walks are good. Like, it's good that he's commanding his pitches well, but I just don't think he is nearly as good as even his ERA right now, which is 3.53, which isn't great. I think it's going to come up from that even. Like I am concerned about you, Darvish, and I don't know. Like the Ks are so far down that I don't even know what to make of him, and that's kind of like, if you can sell him on name value, I would probably look to be doing that, because I'm concerned here, and I don't think it's going to get better. If anything, I think it's going to get worse.
Yeah, I mean, all the expected numbers kind of trend in that direction. That he's getting a little lucky. Sierra has him at 371. I will say FIP is with him. It's saying he's a 339 at FIP. But like if we look at the X batting average and X WOBA on his pitches and things, it does seem like he's getting a little bit lucky. I mean, I think he is kind of what he is. I don't know if I would say 3.5 rest of season, but 3.5 to 3.7 seems, or 3.5 to 3.75, somewhere in that range is probably reasonable. I really don't know what's going on in the K rate. It doesn't really make sense to me in regards to why he's not getting the strikeouts.
It's so, and honestly, sorry not to interrupt, but it is really so far outside of like understandable information. It's not like you can't understand this if you say it like you put it in your brain, and your brain custard spits out, I don't know, basically, because it doesn't make sense. Like he's locating his fastball, which is, he's actually throwing it harder this year, and he's locating it better, and his strikeouts are way down on it. And it's like, what? What? Like, what? Like, it just doesn't make sense. I don't know, man. Anyway.
And it's not like he's lost movement either. Like we talked about, I think last week with like Nestor, who he gained a little bit of velocity, but he's lost some of the movement, and that's kind of hurt him. But we're talking about Darvish here. He has plenty of movement on all of his pitches, and velocity's always been a friend to him. He just is always pitched better when his velocity is up. So yeah, it's just one of those things where I'm not sure. Maybe he's placing the fastball better, which is inducing more contact, but it's also at the same time not allowing him to get into those strikeout counts. I know it, like, especially when he was young in his career, it seemed like that's really all he wanted to do was strike people out. So he'd go to 3-2 constantly chasing strikeouts, and I have to go look at the numbers, but I would wonder if maybe he just doesn't have as many of those deep counts this year.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I'll look into it and we'll report back for next week. Yeah. So, yeah. So let's talk about Christian Walker. I mean, he's just been on a tear this year. He has 21 home runs, 40 runs, 42 RBIs. He's actually a sub 20% K rate. He's above a 12% walk rate. However, he's hitting 206 Gray. His on base is 312, which for a 12% walk rate, when you hit 206, it's not great. What do you think about here, Christian Walker? Is he going to continue this, or is this like a Gallo situation or a Sano situation where, like, when it's on, he's hitting and we need to be worried? What are you doing here?
Yeah, I mean, he's another guy who's just massively confusing because, like you said, I mean, he's striking out less this year, but he's not making any contact. But when he makes contact, it's really good. It's excellent contact, but he's not making it as fair, not nearly enough. I think he could get better, because he is hitting the ball really well and he's not striking out. So you would think, rather than the average bottoming out, I would imagine it comes up. Like, his expected batting average is actually really good. It's 274. I don't know if it's going to get anywhere near that, but you would think, because he's a 240 hitter in his career with a much higher strikeout rate. So you would think if he's lowered his strikeout rate, raised his walk rate, hitting the ball really hard, you would guess the average would come up. Like, that's like, it's not rocket science. I mean, you would imagine that he'd start hitting for a better average. And if he hits for a better average and continues hitting the ball out, that's good. That's, I mean, I think there's a chance here that Christian Walker, I mean, the career year is definitely within his sights for sure. And that's, not to, honestly, I think people will probably be like, well, isn't he already have a career year? But he did have a year where he hit 29 homers, stole 8 bags, and hit 260. So, I mean, the career year, it's within his sights, though. I mean, I think he could hit 35 homers and get his average up to 240, which is like 260 plus the rest of the way. I mean, it's good. I think I think he's better than people really are giving him credit for. Because I know, like, in a lot of the comments I get on the site, Christian Walker's always sort of the last man on the team, and he's like, it's like, oh, should I drop Christian Walker for Vinnie Pasquantino? And it's like, well, it's like bird in the hand, kind of. I mean, you already have Vinnie. I mean, okay, Vinnie should hit for a better average, but I mean, Christian Walker's doing well, right? I mean, yeah, I don't know. I like Christian Walker probably, I don't know, maybe more than most, but yeah, I think he could even be better, at least as far as average. The power is there, and it's been there all year, and it's going to stay there, but I think the average could even come up.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. When he hits the ball right now, he's just destroying it. He has a career high barrel rate, 46% hard hit rate, second best average exit velocity of his career. But he's also lifting the ball, I think, a little too much. He has I believe, the highest launch angle of his career as well. He has a 48% fly ball rate, a 38% ground ball rate, and just a 14% line drive rate. So when you have that big split between fly ball, ground ball, and that's all you're kind of hitting, ground balls are kind of, just being pulled to shortstop and third base into all the in the shifts nowadays. So I mean, I'm with you that the average can go. He's gotten a little unlucky here, certainly. But I think for him to really get the average to kind of what we've seen in the past, that launch angle is going to have to come down at least a little bit, so he can hit some more line drives rather than everything literally being a fly ball or a ground ball. Just like need something in between.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, let's talk about Tony Gonsolin. We talked about a little bit last week when we were talking about some comparisons, but let's really kind of talk about him specifically. I mean, Cy Young, Cy Fake. What are we doing here with Tony G? He's got 15 games, 81 and 2/3 innings pitched, 77 strikeouts, a 1.54 ERA, 0.82 WHIP, a 25% K rate, a 7.5 walk rate. I mean, really, if anything, the break on his pitches have been less. Maybe that's kind of tightened things up, and the walks are certainly down from what we've seen from him in the past. But like, I don't really have an explanation for why he's all of a sudden become this pitcher. Gray, are you buying the new and improved Tony, or are you selling at career high prices?
Yeah, no, he's definitely a sell. Gone selling, huh? Gone selling. Ah! I've been saying he's gonna regress at some point. I really think it's gonna happen eventually. I don't know. Maybe it'll just be like this whole year. He'll have a 1.5 ERA, and then next year I'll finally draft him, and it'll end up blowing up and having like a 6 ERA. And I'll be like, there's the regression. Finally, when I have him on my team. Yeah, no, I liked Tony Gosselin coming into the year. I thought he was going to be. It was bizarre because it was like in the preseason. I think I mentioned this. Like in 2021, everyone loved Tony Gosselin because it looked like he was going to get a spot in the rotation, and then he didn't, and people backed off, and then he ended up getting like, I think it was like 12 starts, or no, he got 13 starts last year, and he pitched really well last year. And this year in the preseason, no one cared about Gosling, and it didn't make any sense to me. I was like, he's actually in the rotation now, and everyone liked him last year. Why don't people like him this year? Like, I liked Gosling a lot. I think I do have him on a couple teams. The teams I have Gosling on are doing well. The teams I have Jose Barrios on not doing well. Thankfully I don't think I have them both on the same team. Because then they would cancel each other out, and I'd just be in the middle of the league. Anyway, I think Gosling was a guy I liked. He was a guy I liked. I really was like, draft him everywhere. Like, please do it. But now I'm like, is this insane? I mean, he's not a 1.54 ERA guy. I mean, he's not even a 3.5 ERA guy. Like, his Ks are down from last year. He's probably not going to be able to even throw like another. I would put him at like an over-under of like 50 innings. Like, if you're not selling, you're crazy. Like, this is honestly, I thought the peak for Gosling, like I lay my cards on the table. I thought Gosling, or I guess with Gosling, I lay my cats out on the table because I think he's got a thing with cats. Anyway, I lay my cards out on the table, Gosling. I'll say, like, I thought his peak was last month at this, like the beginning of June. Now he's still doing it, but at some point it's gonna come on. I mean, come on. This is ridiculous. I mean, come on. He's not this good. I mean, he's good, but not this good. Come on.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there, Gray. I mean, he's definitely not this good, and I would be selling if you can convince somebody that he is, or that he's, now joined the ranks of the elite pitchers. If I take his Sierra of 3.7, Gray, and stick that as his over-under rest of the season.
Yeah.
Where are you?
Yeah, that sounds. I'll say under, but barely. I'll say 3.55 for rest of the season. I mean, it's fine. I think if it would suddenly transported me to March of next year, I think Gosling's projections are going to have him around like 3.55. Like that's the kind of pitcher he is. He's good, but I mean, come on, he's not this good.
Yeah, he has a 91% left on base right now. He has a 186 BABIP, so getting a little lucky here. That can certainly carry through for a full season. You get the pitcher who's just on a roll, and they can carry those numbers. But I just don't believe that Tony's that guy. Like Robbie Ray did it, but Robbie Ray's stuff is nasty. So like you can believe in such a high left on base, whereas Tony's is good, but not on that level, at least in my mind. So
Yeah.
all right. We've gotten a peek at O'Neill Cruz. He's finally made Pirates games watchable, as well as, I mean, definitely put a little bit of spark in the team. And as you mentioned, they've kind of hitting already in June. I just wanted to have first thoughts on O'Neill Cruz. I mean, he's super exciting. We've seen the throws. We've seen, the home run. It was just like lit. He was just rocket out. It was a line drive, like you said before when we were talking about
Pasquantino.
Vinnie? Yeah, Vinnie. Like it was kind of like that. He just ripped it over the wall. What are your first thoughts on O'Neill Cruz? Are you all in? Are you potentially capitalizing on just like how great he's getting talked up right now? What are you doing in your leagues, Trey?
Yeah, I think if anyone who's not 100% sold on O'Neill Cruz, I think it's a matter of whether or not they've actually watched him. I mean, if you watch him, you're like, this guy's a superstar. I mean, he is so fun to watch, like you mentioned, but also just like the amount of power he generates in his 7'5" frame, like it's just like crazy. Like he's like, I mean, a lanky Aaron Judge. Like it's just like the amount of power he's able to generate on just like a super easy swing. Like, oh my God, he's so beautiful. I mean, he's no Jack Slowinski, of course. The Pirates. We should put bets on which random Pirate's going to have 3 homers this week. I'll say Josh Van Meter. I think O'Neill Cruz, honestly, it's like the only difference between him and him and like Tatis or like Acuna or like you see O'Neill Cruz and you're like, this guy is going to be a top like 20 overall fantasy guy real soon, like real quick. Like it's going to get there. I don't know if, unfortunately, he strikes out a lot, so his average isn't going to be quite so good. But if he can start making better contact, and it took him a bit in the minors, but eventually he did start making better contact. And if he can get his strikeout rate down to like 22%, which I think he can do in the majors eventually, maybe not this year, but maybe next year, like maybe in the second half of next year, at some point it's going to happen. And once that happens, he's going to be a superstar. He's going to be like a 35 homer, 15 steal, 265, 270 hitter. And it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be really nice. And that's in PNC, which, outside of this recent Pirates crew isn't usually an easy place to hit a homer. But yeah, I think O'Neill Cruz is going to be a superstar, man. Like watching him, it's impressive. And honestly, on defense, even like who cares about defense as a fantasy baseball person? Like I don't care. I don't care about defense at all. I don't even know where some players play. People will be like, "Oh, what do you think about Rhys Hoskins' defense?" I'm like, "Where does he play? I don't know." I don't know why I'm talking about Rhys Hoskins so much this show too. But anyway, O'Neill Cruz, like on defense, even it's like, oh my God, throwing 98-mile-per-hour bullets to first base? Like, come on, man. Come on. I sound like Joe Biden. Come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, anyway. He looks amazing so far. I'm a little bit of seller's regret. I sold him to the itch. I also bought him in another league, so I would still have his share. But yes, he looks great. The tools are all there. It's just a matter of when he puts them all together. I mean, if you got a really good offer for him right now in a redraft league, I have no problem going ahead and move him because there are going to be some growing concerns.
I don't even. Yeah, I forget. I want to say someone in my keeper league. I have O'Neal Cruz for $1, and someone in my keeper league sent me a trade this week for a non-keeper Matt Olson for $1 O'Neal Cruz. And I didn't even give him the respect of giving a reason why I was declining it. I was like, get out of here, bro. Like, we're not even, honestly, we're barely friends now because of that. Like, don't bring that into my house, bro. I don't like it.
Yeah. I mean, in keeper league, when there's rules on what you can keep and win, that's gonna be a tough sell there. Good call, I think. Let me throw a few names at you real quick, Gray, and let's see where we are rest of season. Him or Carlos Correa?
Oh, O'Neal Cruz. Yeah, I don't like Carlos Correa.
Uh,
I just don't. I don't think Carlos Correa. Carlos Correa brings name value, but I don't think he brings that much for fantasy. I mean, he's like a 22 homer, 275 hitter over. With no speed for over the course of 162. So the rest of the year, maybe Carlos Correa is like 12 homer, no steals, 270. I mean, who cares? It's nothing. That does nothing for me.
all right. How about the red hot Tommy Edman?
I go Edmund. I thought you were about to say Jonathan India. I was gonna immediately fire you. That was gonna be the end. If you would have said Jonathan India, it would have been over.
We had somebody else introduce it next week.
I'm going Edmund still because he's got some power. He's got great speed, good average, top of the Cardinals lineup. I think Edmonds for real a top 30 overall guy right now. So yeah, I'm going Edmund.
All right, let me ask you, him or Bobby Witt?
Ah, man, I got to go Bobby Witt just because he's got a little bit more under his belt and a little, just a little bit more experience. He's already shown that he's adjusted to MLB pitching. And yeah, I just got to go Bobby Witt. But I still, there's no offense to O'Neal Cruz. I think these guys like Bobby Witt, I think is a legit top 50 guy. So yeah, I mean, that's nothing against O'Neal Cruz, really.
All right, one last one, Gray. Marcus Simeon.
I'd probably go Simeon. I mean, Simeon's actually, I think Simeon's hitting 290 over the course of the last month. He's come around a bit. He's looking better. So I'm going to go Marcus Simeon. Yeah, I mean, that's a little bit closer though, I think. Yeah, but I'm going to go Simeon. Do you agree with those?
Yes, I do. I think Simeon might be close, but Simeon's running so much right now this season. I think it's worth it just to go ahead and hold him. And as you mentioned, he hit 287 in June with 7 home runs and 6 stolen bases. So while it may be kind of a sell high point on Marcus Simeon, I still think he's probably just safer, at least than O'Neal Cruz. Now, if Simeon's like your bench utility bat or whatever, then I don't have a problem, making that swap and seeing if O'Neal Cruz just pops potentially. But yeah, I think it's Simeon.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, let's go ahead and do our usual bullpen and waivers to end up here, Gray. What do you got on the bullpen side for everybody out there looking for saves?
So Kenley Jansen, I think people in the comments on Razzball, they misinterpret the size of my brain sometimes. They're like, "Oh, Gray knows medical stuff. He's smart. He knows he's he's essentially a doctor because he knows what a baseball player projections are." So I assume Gray's a doctor. So Kenley Jansen, when's he coming back? That's what people ask me, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know when Kenley Jansen's coming back. He could come back within a week, or he could come back next year. I don't know. I mean, Honestly, I have no clue. I would assume he comes back like, last time this was like a pretty big issue for him. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I hope he comes back soon, but I can't say when. And then so in his stead, you got Will Smith and Minter. I think it's in that order. I like Minter a lot, but like Will Smith has. They have, Snicker used Smith before as a closer. I mean, I honestly, I think Minter is worth rostering just because he's been so good, but I really think Will Smith is the guy there. And then so then in the Yankees, Aroldis came back and he looks like garbage still. I don't know what's going on with him. I honestly I feel like Aroldis something's disconnected. Like I don't know. Like he should be a shutdown closer, but I think like maybe it's a mental thing. I don't know. Like I don't even buy the whole Achilles tendonitis thing, the reason why he was out for a month. I think something's wrong. Like I think he's got the yips or something. I don't know. But Clay Holmes has been great. He will continue to be great. I think as long as, he's pitching, he should be rostered everywhere. Whether or not Araldis gets a save or two, like Clay Holmes has been worth having on your team. So just continue rostering Clay Holmes. And at this point, I actually have Aroldis in one league, and I had to activate him. I'm gonna activate him for this week. I didn't activate him last week, obviously. Why would I? But I got to activate him for this week, and then I'm just gonna bench him until I feel like he's gonna get IL'd again before he gets like more than 3 saves. Like that's what I feel like it's coming. That's where it's headed. I would say hold on to him for now, Araldis that is, but I wouldn't expect too much. And Hendricks is supposed to come back. Graveman's also like I put Graveman in the same category as Minter and Holmes, where like even if Graveman isn't getting saves, you can hold on. Every league you can roster Graveman and get good stats and the occasional save and the occasional win. So Graveman you can hold on to whether or not Hendricks comes back healthy or not. And then there's also the mess in Oakland, but I don't even, I guess Trevino. I don't know. Who cares?
Yeah, it's gross. I guess AJ Puck is the guy you want for the ratios and the numbers. Trevino, if you're strictly chasing the saves, because it seems like they're leaning into Trevino, probably trying to build up his value so they can ship him out. But he's locked down, his opportunities so far, despite the numbers looking hideous on the season.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's run through some waiver wire guys real quick before we get out of here. Gray, who you got for everybody?
Okay, so there's Ryan McMahon's been hot. Actually, Cole Calhoun, sometimes he goes on a bender. He gets so hot that it's like, oh man, you grab Cole Calhoun for like a week and then drop him for 3 weeks. And then, it's like he's 1 week hot, 3 weeks cold. Go with Cole Calhoun right now, though. He's been really hot. Jose Miranda, I think, hit a walk-off the other day. Walk-off, just a single. But still, he's been hot in general. It was funny. I was sorting for Fab. I was looking for guys who had the most homers last week, who were on waivers. This was for a 15-team league, and it was like Darick Hall was one guy. Obviously, Michael Perez was another guy. And then there was Nick Gordon, the big power hitter there, Nick Gordon. It's like his brother is now D. Gordon Strange, and it's Nick Gordon Strong. Yeah, I mean his power is not going to continue, but he has been hitting for some. He has been hitting in general. Hunter Dozier's been hot, and then the old Evan Longoria. Where is Evan Longoria gone since he left Tampa? But yeah, he's been hitting relatively well. So yeah, I would look at him too.
All right, nice. I think James Caprielin Josh Winkowski and Keegan Thompson are a few names on the pitching side. If you're just looking for guys on the wire, pitching's always a little thin. So that one's a little bit more matchup specific. Go check the Streaminator if you really need for this week. Specifically for prospects, we mentioned kind of we're starting to run out of the difference makers. I think a couple of them that could be coming up are Corbin Carroll and Max Meyer. They've both been just looking great this year. Max Meyer's been dealing with an injury, but if he gets healthy and they need a pitcher, Meyer could be up. Corbin Carroll looks amazing so far this year, and I mean, if there's really nothing holding him back other than service time for the Diamondbacks. That's really the biggest hindrance.
Right. Yeah, no, completely. I agree. Corbin Carroll was a guy who I think in deeper leagues, grab him now for like $1 because he's going to come up. And if he's still on waivers when he comes up, he's probably going to be like a huge grab for Fab. So if you can grab him now, and that's grab with 2 A's because I'm talking about Fab. No, it's not. But yeah, Corbin Carroll, definitely. Look for him now versus when he's called up, because when he gets called up, he's going to be a lot more expensive.
Yeah, he's going to be that guy that everybody spends like the remaining Fab on for the rest of the year, and gets $0 and dollar bids out the rest of the way because he's worth it. He looks amazing. He's climbed to the Itch's #1 spot in his prospect rankings, and I imagine if he doesn't get called up this year, he will be almost universally #1 next year, as we have a bunch of those top guys kind of graduating out of the prospect realm this year. So Corbin Carroll looks amazing. But yeah, I would expect him coming up this year, even though the Diamondbacks, I'm sure, would love to work his service time. He's really pushing their hand right now. He's got 16 home runs, 20 stolen bases. He's hitting .313, .430, .643 in the minors. He's got a 15% walk rate. Like it's ridiculous. He's
I almost wonder. Sorry, not to interrupt, but I almost wonder if Corbin Carroll, and I know we have to wrap up here, but I wonder if because there's that new rule where like if you have a guy start the year and he wins the Rookie of the Year, you get extra draft picks. I wonder if that's almost playing against like Corbin Carroll now, because like if they call him up now, it's too late in the year. He's going to run out of rookie eligibility, and he's also too late in the year to win the Rookie of the Year. So it's like, I wonder if that's almost playing against him now. I don't know. That's more of a deep thought.
Yeah,
Ray Albright.
I think it's okay because essentially, if he had started the season, they'd essentially get the same control they do after Super 2, which has already passed. So
Right.
I think now it's kind of the same as if they had started him. But to your point, if they start him next year at the very beginning of the season, then they don't have to worry about Super 2 and everything. They can.
And they also, if he wins Rookie of the Year next year, then they get an extra pick or some nonsense.
Yeah, there's an additional benefit
right,
to it.
Yeah.
It doesn't come with Super 2 for sure.
Right. Well, it leaves listeners or viewers with something to ponder as they head into the week ahead.
Yes, absolutely. So we're all hoping the Diamondbacks miraculously get on a streak, and that way they can call up Corbin Carroll and actually get into seeing him play. Likely he'll go spend some time in AAA before getting the call up, but we'll have to wait and see. Anything else for the listeners, Gray?
Lades.